I spent a lot of time surrendering and not in a positive way. I've surrendered my voice, my power, my worthiness from a young age because that's what I was taught. I was taught to be seen and not heard. My feelings, thoughts, etc. didn't really matter and could be overridden at any time for any reason. So as a result, I surrendered myself to living a life of mediocrity, getting just enough to be okay, though my hopes, dreams, and desires and vision were so much bigger than that as an adult. So I've been dealing in the last, I'd say, week or so with the aftermath of having a breakthrough because I remembered an incident with all my exes parading back into my life. That I don't talk to my ex-husband. And I remembered why. And it's because he raped me. And it happened after we had decided to get divorced. We were still living together. And things were amicable. We agreed, since we knew we were safe people, that if we had an urge or a need, we would get together. But by the time the call actually came, so much had happened. I forgot we had even made the pact. And despite feeling uneasy and hesitant, I still let him come over to the place that I had moved to after we got separated. So, first thing, red flag should have been that he started with rules. There was no kissing because he didn't know where I'd been. And but he couldn't perform. So we switched to oral and manual play, and it was going as expected until it wasn't. It began to hurt, and I was feeling pain I hadn't felt before. I tried to move and give like verbal cues, slight verbal cues, because obviously he just didn't know what he was doing. So I was just letting him know. But nothing changed. If not, it almost seemed like it made it worse. So I just wanted him to finish, get it done. I got dressed, went out to the living room, let him get dressed, do whatever he was doing, and just try to process what had happened. Was it something that I should have screamed or bit or kicked or something? Like, it's like I let him into my sanctuary, my home, my room, and he took advantage of the trust and the love that I still had for him. And then to top it all off, he wanted to leave me with some wonderful parting words of wisdom about him not being able to perform. That had never happened to him before. And obviously God was intervening and warning him something was wrong with me. And that I shouldn't be upset that I didn't know how to be a good wife to him because I didn't have a mother. So I was like, oh, that's so nice and kind of you. So in that moment, I realized that he had planned this evening in some way, shape, or form, and that he had planned to hurt me in as many ways as possible. So the dread and foreboding that I had felt on our wedding day basically had come full circle. And what I learned in that moment is to not expect to fully enjoy sex. That sex can start out good, but I can never fully relax and enjoy it because it can turn painful at any moment. And I had to be hyper vigilant because at any moment it could change and I have to be ready. So, after he left, I took a shower. I was still under this misconception that what just happened was sex, though I cried. I was still in so much pain. I could barely walk, and the pain made it hard to sleep. So the next day, I went to the emergency room, which, if anyone knows me, that is one of those places that if I'm requesting to go or volunteering to go, oh, it's an issue. So the doctor seemed concerned and asked me what had happened. I told her, and she recommended that I have a rape kit. And I was like, what? I don't need one of those. What do I need one of those for? And I told her what had happened, that my husband, we were separated, and I let him in, and I had showered, and he's my husband. And she still insisted. So what she explained was that my cervix was inflamed and swollen, and she could see nail marks and nicks in it. So that is hence the pain and why she was concerned. So the rape kit is another beast entirely. It is a necessary, important part of the process, but baby, geesh, woo, yeah. Well, anyway, suggested, after this, that I go to the police and make a report. So I didn't think that it was necessary because he was my husband. I let him in. Who would believe me? Well, so I go to the police station down the street, and I am an awesome manifester. I didn't know this at the time, but awesome manifester that I was, I got exactly that. I walked into the police station for assistance, walked up to the desk. There were two police officers talking, and there was one officer that was sitting at the desk that was listening to me and my story, and this other officer that was on the side, and he kept commenting, well, you two were married and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at them and realized that I wasn't going to get any assistance, and I just walked out. I remember feeling hijacked in that moment. Now I know what that is. This feeling welled up from my feet all the way through my body. And by the time I walked the 100 feet to the corner, I had what I think was a panic attack, and everything was spinning. I was disoriented, couldn't breathe, trying not to sob uncontrollably on a New York City corner, but I couldn't move. All I could do was spin around in a circle and try to determine what to do. Should I walk home? Should I get on the bus, go back to the hospital? So I call my sister friend. She walks down the street to pick me up, and we walk back to her job. She scolds me for being in the ER in the first place and not saying anything. She worked right upstairs. But of course that had to do with my self-worth and not wanting to be a burden to anyone and bother anyone. I wasn't worth their time, so why bother them? So my sister friend and family saved my life that day. They really, she took me to her job and then home to her house, where her mom, her brother and his bestie just loved on me for the rest of the day. Her brother made sure that I made it home, and I don't know if they even know how much that meant to me that day. But I said all this to say that I forgot about this story. It's an important part of my story. It's integral. And it is part of the fiasco that was once my life, and ended me up here with the X Parade. What I've come to realize is, yes, I am an awesome manifester. I got everything I wanted all those years. Feigned surface, 25% worth of love and admiration, feelings, feeling less than, feeling abused, feeling abandoned, feeling discarded, feeling unwanted. I was being shown in that moment the true meaning of love, friendship, and community. And I didn't even realize it because I was so entrenched in my victimhood and my story. So what I know today is I could have stepped into my power and voice at any time. I am hurt by what was done by my ex-husband, but I choose to let go of the hurt and the pain of, what was done and what was said, because what was done and said were equally as hurtful. I let go of the fear of being truly intimate with someone. I let go of the fear of sharing my body with someone else fully. I let go of the fear of being vulnerable. I am supported and protected, and I protect myself fiercely if necessary. So I surrender to the love, the peace, the safety, and the security the universe provides for me, and I experience every day. So this is what reminded me of surrender, in this last week. So I just thank you for being on this journey with me.